The Nigerian military has issued a strong challenge to former militant leader Asari Dokubo, daring him to confront their forces on the battlefield after his provocative claims. Asari Dokubo, known for his militant activities during the Niger Delta insurgency, recently stated that he could shoot down a military helicopter flying near his residence and declared that he had the capacity to contain the Nigerian military. In response, Major General Edward Buba, Director of Defense Media Operations, dismissed Asari Dokubo's assertion as laughable, stating that they were not worth serious consideration. General Edward Buba emphasized that the Nigerian military operates professionally within a democratic framework and cannot act on mere comments without due process, as it could lead to accusation of undemocratic behavior. However, he did not shy away from a challenge, inviting Asari Dokubo to enter the battlefield to test the military's capabilities. Major General Edward Buba assured the public that the military would neutralize Asari Dokubo if he chose to confront them. He also highlighted the military's primary focus on combating terrorism in various regions of the country, stressing that other security agencies have constitutional responsibilities to handle threats like Dokubo. He reiterated that the military's mandate remains to defend the nation and its citizens from serious threats, and Asari Dokubo's comments do not warrant immediate military action unless they are backed by an actual confrontation. The military response is part of a larger narrative in which it seeks to maintain professionalism and avoid unnecessary conflict, especially in a democratic context. Despite Asari Dokubo's bold statements, the military downplayed his capacity to pose a significant threat while calling on appropriate security agencies to address the situation. General Edward Buba's statement further underscores the need for coordinated actions among Nigerian security forces, pointing out that the military is not the only agency responsible for dealing with internal security matters. While Asari Dokubo's comments have stirred controversy, the military has opted for a major response focusing on its ongoing campaigns against terrorism rather than being drawn into personal confrontations. This reflects the delicate balance the Nigerian military seeks to maintain between its role as a defender of national security and its commitment to operating within the boundaries of democracy. The military's decision not to pursue Asari Dokubo immediately stems from a desire to avoid being perceived as acting outside of legal and democratic norms. The statement from Major General Edward Buba concludes with a reiteration of the military's readiness to confront any genuine threat on the battlefield, but with a clear warning that Asari Dokubo would not succeed if he attempted to challenge their forces. Ultimately, the military remains focused on its broader mission to combat terrorism and ensure the security of Nigeria, while leaving internal political disputes and personal threats to the appropriate law enforcement agencies. I'll play the video for you guys to watch and see for yourself.
Now to comments by some individual that they can shoot down the helicopter of the military. I think that's laughable. In fact, I'm about to laugh about that. And I say that because You know, we're in a democracy and we are a professional force. We cannot just based on somebody's comments begin to do certain things and then they will now accuse the military of being undemocratic. The military is not the only security agency, force or department in the country. There are other security forces who have a role to play constitutionally when it comes to some of these issues. But I tell you that he doesn't have that capability. He's just blabbing. But I will allow the security forces are responsible for handling such cases to take up the matter. Ours is come on the battlefield and we take you out. He should come on the battlefield and see whether we can react or not. Importance of momentum in warfare. We must sustain the momentum, and it is for this reason we take the fight to the terrorists.
I have the capacity to contain them.
Recent comments by former Niger Delta agitator Asari Dokubo, who threatened to bring down a military helicopter allegedly hovering over his premises during the local government election in Rivers State, also caught the attention of the military.
He doesn't have that capability. He's just blabbing. But I will allow the security forces that are responsible for handling such cases to take up the matter. Ours is come on the battlefield and we take you out. You should come on the battlefield.
As I've been containing other people, let them tell Wike to back off. I am 60 years old. I've never been afraid of death. I've always embraced death. I'd always embraced death. So I am not afraid of death. So all those who are there, when the helicopter is shot down, let nobody blame them. I didn't go and look for the helicopter to shoot them down. I will shoot down the helicopter. I will shoot down the helicopter. I swear by Allah that I will shoot. Wike's soldiers, Wike's police, whoever had been flying over my house and my compound in the last 30 minutes with 2 helicopter gunships. I have the capacity to contain them. Nigeria cannot surrender to Wike. Rivers people will not surrender to Wike. Ijaw people will not surrender to Wike. I have the capacity to contain them. And the government knows that I have the capacity to contain them.
The recent confrontation between the Nigerian military and former militant leader Asari Dokubo highlights deep-rooted tensions in Nigeria's socio-political landscape. The Nigerian military, represented by Major General Edward Buba, issued a stern challenge to Asari Dokubo, daring him to test his claims on the battlefield. This development is significant in a country like Nigeria, where the military plays a central role in counter-insurgency operations and the maintenance of national security. The incident also underscores the persistent issues of militancy, security challenges, and the delicate balance of power between the state and non-state actors. To critically analyze this news report, it is essential to first consider the historical and socio-political context within which Asari Dokubo operates. Asari Dokubo is a former leader of the Niger Delta People's Volunteer Force, a militant group that played a significant role in the Niger Delta insurgency during the early 2000s. The group's activities were drawn by grievances over the region's underdevelopment and the environmental degradation caused by oil exploration. Militants in the Niger Delta have long demanded more equitable distribution of oil wealth and greater local control over resources. Although Asari Dokubo has since shifted to a more political role, his past as a militant leader and his continued public statements reflect the complex relationship between the Nigerian state and militant groups. While the Nigerian government has implemented several amnesty programs aimed at reintegrating former militants, the residual influence and militarized culture among some leaders in the Niger Delta persists. This incident is indicative of the broader security challenges facing Nigeria. Apart from the long-standing insurgency in the northeast led by Boko Haram and Islamic State of West African Province ISWAP, there are seemingly conflicts in the southeast and ongoing banditry and kidnapping crises in the northwest. Asari Dokubo's remarks and the military's response tap into these widespread security concerns and highlight the precariousness of national unity. The Nigerian military's reaction to Asari Dokubo's statement is multifaceted, combining restraints with assertiveness. Major General Buba's use of language is significant. He dismisses Asari Dokubo's threat as laughable, but also issues a direct challenge to the ex-militant leader to enter the battlefield. General Buba's statement underscores two key points: the military's confidence in its capabilities and its desires to maintain a professional and democratic image. General Edward Buba's dismissal of Asari Dokubo's threats as unrealistic indicates the military's belief that it has superior firepower and organizational capacity. By stating that Asari Dokubo does not possess that capability to shoot down military helicopters, General Edward Buba downplays the immediate threat posed by Asari Dokubo, while simultaneously reinforcing the military's dominance. This reaction serves both to reassure the public of the military strengths and to avoid giving undue legitimacy to Asari Dokubo's claims. At the same time, the military emphasizes its commitment to democratic principles, stating that it cannot act hastily based on mere comments. This is crucial in a country like Nigeria, where the military has a history of political intervention, including multiple coups. Since the return to civilian rule in 1999, the military has been keen to project an image of professionalism and non-involvement in political matters, by stressing that the military cannot act in an undemocratic manner. Buba seeks to align the military with Nigeria's democratic framework and distance it from the era of military dictatorship. However, the challenge to Asari Dokubo to face the military on the battlefield reveals a more aggressive undertone. The military's willingness to confront Asari Dokubo head-on underscores its role as the primary custodian of national security. This rhetoric serves as both a warning to Asari Dokubo and a message to other militant leaders who may harbor similar aspirations of undermining state authority. Asari Dokubo's comment, in which he claimed the capability to shoot down military helicopters, reflect a provocative and audacious stance. Asari Dokubo's assertion suggests a continuing power struggle between former militant leaders and the Nigerian state. While Asari Dokubo's militant activities have largely succeeded, his claims to possess the firepower to challenge the military highlight the lingering influence and resources that some former militants still command. This confrontation can be seen as a form of brinkmanship, where Asari Dokubo tests the limits of the state tolerance. By making such bold claims, Asari Dokubo may be seeking to assert his relevance or demonstrate his continued influence in the Niger Delta. Given the history of militancy in the region, it is plausible that Asari Dokubo's remarks are intended to remind the government and the military of the potential for renewed unrest if the grievances of the Niger Delta are not addressed. At the same time, Asari Dokubo's statements may also be aimed at bolstering his own political profile by positioning himself as a figure capable of standing up to the military. Dokubo may be attempting to show up his support base among certain fractions within the Niger Delta. In a region where oil wealth and local power dynamics play a crucial role, such posturing could be part of a broader strategy to maintain or expand his political influence. Interestingly, Major General Edward Buba's statement highlights the involvement of other security agencies in addressing threats like those posed by Asari Dokubo. General Edward Buba notes that other security forces have a constitutional role to play in dealing with such matters, indicating a broader multi-agency approach to national security. This is significant because it reflects a recognition that Nigerian security challenges cannot be solved by the military alone. Involving other security agencies such as the police, intelligence services, the Civil Defense Corps, and the EFCC points to a more comprehensive approach to dealing with insurgency, militancy, and criminal activities. It also suggests that the military is mindful of public perception and is keen to avoid being seen as the sole enforcer of security, especially in situations that may involve political or civil rights concerns. The confrontation between the Nigerian military and Asari Dokubo is emblematic of broader issues facing Nigeria's security landscape. The military response, characterized by a mix of restraint and assertiveness, reflects a desire to maintain both its professional image and its dominance in matters of national security. Asari Dokubo's provocative statements, meanwhile, highlight the ongoing power struggle between the state and former militant leader, as well as the persistent grievances in regions like the Niger Delta. While the military has so far chosen not to engage Asari Dokubo directly, preferring to leave the matter to other security agencies, the challenge issued by Major General Edward Buba signals the seriousness with which the military views such threats. As Nigeria continues to grapple with a range of security challenges, the balance between maintaining order and upholding democratic principles will remain a critical issue for the country's leadership. This is the end of our news update. I will see you again in my next video.